that Lou actually wrote my cancer into one of her scripts. I was supposed to film one of the movies with you, and then I had just been diagnosed with breast cancer at the time. And instead, Lou, when she saw my mastectomy scars from breast cancer, she was like, do you mind if I write this into a script? These scars. Because
I just want to exploit.
Can I exploit your pain? Okay, to be fair.
Well, I guess we should kick this off. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're rolling already?
We're rolling.
Okay. All right.
Did you? I didn't even know.
Did you feel it?
I did. It's so exciting. So with that said, thank you first both so much, because I still have to get people here by calling them and asking favors, and sometimes I have to make good wine. I didn't make it, but you know.
You weren't squishing it with your toes?
Oh no, I was doing that, but I didn't make it. No, I just did that because that's a story for another day. Yeah, so we have good wine, and with that said, I have the one, the only, the people behind 73 Minutes, which is the director and the star. But honestly, I've been wanting to get you two here for quite a minute, because this whole podcast has started about the entertainment, and there's nothing better than getting the real story from the real people that did it, as opposed to censored media, censored anything, or it's, press agents. This is us. We did it. And so I was like, okay, why don't we just dissect this? Because it's been a few years. And with that said, I'm going to introduce Lou and Aniela, before I jump in, I'm going to pour the wine. But I would love both of you, put you both on a spot for 1 second. Just give everybody who's watching just a 2-second on your backgrounds. Obviously, I know yours is incredible, but I want you, and I say this, but I want you to give in the background of how you got into filmmaking and your journey, because you have we'll call it a day job, but then you're a very accomplished filmmaker, and you, as well as an actress, everybody needs to know that journey, because so many people are like, how do I get into it? What do I do? Especially in today's world, which we'll get into later, but just start the backstory as well. I start pouring the wine.
Notice how he didn't take credit for doing the cinematography, Like, he's like, you directed, you acted, I didn't do shit. Ooh, oh, whatever.
We're already there. We're already cursing.
It already started, and I said I wasn't going to do it. 2 seconds in. Boop,
2 seconds
there it goes.
She's dropping shit bombs.
Anyways, yeah. So Lou Simone is my name. I just finished, last year, I finished my 7th feature.
7th feature, everybody. I would say you can learn something on this podcast, please.
So I got started. I started because I was a writer. I wanted to write. When, selling a script is so hard. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to make one film, and that's it. Everybody's going to be like, that is the most brilliant script ever, and I will never have to make another film again. And we had a lot of fun with it. It was not very well made. We hired the wrong person to be DP, and he was also supposed to be the director as well. He just really didn't have the eye for it. And actually, I started directing just because he kept getting stuff, like scenes completely wrong. And so since it was my script, I was like, oh, that's not exactly what's happening there, So I jumped in to kind of help out. By like day 3, I was already like, oh, how about this, Kind of like slowly took over directing in the middle of the film. And then I was like, well, this is kind of fun. Like, I had really never thought of directing, Well, then again, I had never thought about writing scripts. I was a novelist. So after I did that, and, I was at a moment, at a crossroads in my life, my personal life, where I was like, okay, I can either continue in this crazy filmmaking journey, or I can go back to my full-time job and just do that and, forget this whole thing. It was fun, but it's over, And that's when I came up with the script for Hazmat. And it was a really difficult year. I had lost a lot of other stuff. And it was like I was restarting my life over. And when I wrote that script, I was like, well, I could make it and then start my life over. Or I can, forget about the whole thing and just go, restart my life. And I was like, okay, I'll just make one film. Famous last words. And then that's it. And just Hazmat was just such a huge success. I mean, Not only, I mean, there was definitely some difficult times in there, but financially, it was so successful. I mean, it was on Redbox, it was on Hulu, you know, whatever. That I was like, oh, I can do this all day, you know.
The first one always gets you. It's that
You
right
hooked
out the
in.
gate, and it goes really well, and you're like, this is easy.
Everybody, I don't know why anybody has a challenge.
We went to all these film festivals. You know, I mean, we went to LA and Boston and Chicago. I went to Whitby in the UK, you know, for the Bram Stoker Film Festival there. It went to Berlin, you know, so I was like, oh, this is the life. What am I thinking? I can go back to my old life now. And it's been a journey. It's definitely getting harder and harder for independent filmmakers out there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, never do. But that's how I got started. That's a short version.
Which is interesting because I want to come back. I want to get your background, but some highlights I think that people really appreciate is, you know, you kind of, as you said, you came from a novelist to writing screens. And then from screenwriting, you said, I need to direct this because you saw the vision and you weren't getting it. And I think some people really appreciate that because, you know, one of my favorite lines is, if you're great with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Now, if you go up to a wall and hit a screw with a hammer, you're going to get bad results. And I think sometimes you see people who are absolutely great at directing actors, but they don't know how to work a script, or somebody who can tell a story, but they don't know how to put the words down, or you get directors who do not know how to work with actors. So I think you need to build these different tools or lean on people. So I really want to come back and pick your brain on that journey because I think a lot of people will relate to that. Yeah.
And I want to pipe in on that one because Lou doesn't just.
Speaking of Hulu, go ahead. Lou, yes. Lou doesn't just. Come on.
Well, because like you're saying, being a hammer, to me, I was in Hazmat. So I was in that first film, and then I've done four. I lose count of how many Lou films I've done. And Lou is, yes, writes, directs. To me, her producing is, I feel, the strongest because Lou runs it all the way to it actually being distributed. And there's so many projects where it's like, okay, fine, yeah, we made this thing, but it sits there and it goes nowhere. And I know that if I'm going to do a Lou project, it is going to be distributed.
How many projects as an actor never see the light of day?
Right?
Yeah.
So many. And Lou, it'll always see the light of day, no matter what.
And that's a perfect toast. Let's start our drinking with to Lou. To always getting it over the finish line.
To me.
Yes.
Cheers. Yeah, no, that's a huge testament. So with that said.
And she edited it. She was the editor as well of 73 minutes.
Yeah. So I've had to learn everything. And in the last one, I did stuff that I never thought I would do. Like, you know, I think it's Robert Rodriguez has a quote about something like, learn as much as you can. It scares people, so be scary. I'm totally paraphrasing. But the idea is like, if you're not dependent on anybody and you can do all these different jobs, then you're like a force to be reckoned with, you know?
Absolutely. And I think it makes you a better filmmaker because now you know with the editing, okay, if I shoot this shot, I can't edit that together later. Yeah. So you have such a great, well-rounded, and then if I write this script, I can't actually get it distributed because while it might be a great, cool indie idea, there's no
market
place there's no market for this. Mm-hmm. And so I think you having all those different perspectives has and as well, always going, I need to make this happen in one place. I'm constantly floored by Lou. Lou can complete in a week more than I complete in an entire year. She's phenomenal. She's truly phenomenal.
I pay her for this.
I was going to say.
This is why I've been in 4 of her movies. But also she is phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, we still haven't got your backstory. Come on, you're jumping ahead before you start getting in all the good stuff. So how did you get in acting? Give me the whole, tell everybody.
Oh, gosh. I always wanted to be an actor. As a little kid, I lived in a school bus in the panhandle of Florida for a while. Childhood that was alcoholic father and finding your own escape. You know,
right.
In my own mind, I learned how to disappear. And I think that's kind of how an actor is made, is childhood trauma.
It helps. I think what is Stanislavski, you know, whether you study method or all the different ones, you know. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and so I think that in a way was kind of my path is I loved creating. I loved having that little world. And I didn't have access to that. I remember when we moved, there was no theater classes. We didn't have funds. We were really poor. And my mom would put me in ballet, but we'd have to pull me out before the recital because we couldn't afford the costumes. So I was always kind of circling around it, but without actually getting to do it. And when I was in high school, I finally had access to an actual acting class. They had an acting class, and I was like so excited. But I wasn't very good. I'd audition, I wouldn't make it. I would become do the props and things like that. I just being really honest, I wasn't that great of an actor.
What?
I wasn't. I think, we see these ideas of like these kids that are great actors and they become great adult actors. I was not one of those. I was the understudy. I was that person. And so when I then was going to college and wanted to do theater, and my stepdad is in the arts. He is a stagehand, or was. So is my brother, is in the arts, stagehand. And so I was around it. I grew up in the theater, but backstage with my dad, learning to tie knots and things like that. And so when I went to go to college and I wanted to act, my parents were like, hey, you can do this as a hobby. Like, do community theater. You're not very good at this. And then have a real job of being a stagehand.
Okay.
Because there was a path to that. I knew I was going to get my IA card because nepotism. So
there it is.
So I went to Florida State. I first went to community college because it's cheaper, and then got my AA, and then went to Florida State. And every elective was an acting class, was movement class, was stage combat. And then my regular classes were set construction, costuming, rigging, things on that side. And when I got out, I joined the union and I became a stagehand. And so I was the prop person for Florida Grand Opera for 5 years, working backstage, getting to witness amazing artists. But during my summers off, my mother, still being as supportive as she could be, was like, why don't you take this night class at the community night class that was in the newspaper for $50 at the high school, like with retirees, to do acting. And I was like, yeah. So I took that class and I loved it. And we formed a group, those of us who were like really committed, and we made our own little short films. And then I would go back to my day job, which was being a stagehand. It just slowly built. I joined an improv class, and then they were like, well, you're really good at improv. Come on stage. And so I was immediately brought into the troupe for Laughing Gas. Those Miami people know Laughing Gas from years ago. And so I did that during my summers off. And I go back to the theater and sit in the dark and hand people props and watch people do what they loved. And I got an agent in between them, but I couldn't go on any auditions because I was in theater and worked when everything else would be happening. And I finally got to this point where I was just like, I can't keep sitting in the dark. Like, I had to try it. And so I quit being a stagehand and I went back to school to become an occupational therapist.
Saw that coming. That's what we call a hard right.
Because you gotta get
a twist.
You gotta get a real job.
It's like Lou wrote that one. You're like, wait, what happened?
And so I went back to college, took anatomy for medical school students and all, and I was enjoying it. I started volunteering at the local hospital and I was like, I hate this. I hate this. And my husband was super supportive. I was in an acting class still. I'd always kind of take acting classes. And I was taking one in Miami and my husband was like, do it for a year. He's like, I'll support you. Try it for a year. And so I quit those prerequisite college classes. I hadn't started the master's yet. So I was like, okay, haven't spent that money. And I had the agent and I went for it. And I'd been auditioning for years, never booking anything. Not booking.
And that's interesting because the agent would keep sending you stuff and they kept trying.
Yeah. And it was a favor. They even took me as a favor, family friend. Okay. So it's like, They took me as a favor. It was Runway's a talent group. who had been around for years. Peggy McKinley was my first agent. And so when I quit and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Out the gate, I ended up booking a SAG National commercial. I booked 2 network television shows. I booked Burn Notice and Charlie's Angels. I booked a Spanish sitcom where multicam. This is all in the first year.
Right.
Where they just gave me the role.
Which is very good, by the way.
Yeah.
This is very good.
They just...
What Spanish sitcom?
It got canceled before it ever aired. But I was La Gringa, and I would say dirty things in Spanish, and it was like perfectly me. Mi gato tiene calor. And when that show got canceled, again, we never aired, I booked Rock of Ages with Tom Cruise and was at the table read with Tom Cruise and Alec Baldwin and sitting next to Mary J. Blige, who was like, hi, I'm Mary. It was the most insane first year. And I made more money that first year acting than I did as a stagehand. And I was like, maybe this is it.
This was your hazmat.
This was my hazmat.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is so easy.
Next year, I'm going to make double this.
It's only uphill from here.
Uphill from here.
That's crazy.
And the next year, I made practically nothing. But I was in. I was hooked. I was done.
I was going to say, once you're bit.
And that was it. That was it.
Wow. Gosh, there's so many questions I can ask. So with that said, first off, thank you for sharing, both of you.
But her career really took off in 2013 when she made Hazmat with me.
We see, there it is. Now, with that said.
And that's where we fell in love, and we have been working together ever since.
And that's, so somebody you both know had said on one, probably the first or second podcast I've done, that even after you're on the movie, you're continually auditioning and building that relationship with the director. And that is Mr. Todd Bruno. And so,
sounds like something Todd would say.
Exactly. Right, there you go. So it's funny you say that. And here you guys are talking about, yes, multiple movies. And I feel that that's so true because you look at Hollywood and you're like, oh, they cast the same person again or whatever. Right? And it's true because there is that chemistry because it's a very relationship oriented business and who you're working with. And as an actor, is the money more important or is it the product that gets out there more important?
Depends.
Yes.
It's
how much money?
It depends on how much money.
Right.
And like I love doing commercials. Pay me that money.
Oh yeah.
And they're fun. I recently was flown to South Africa to shoot a commercial for a major brand.
Awesome.
And which was insane. Like they flew me business class. I was called on a Friday and it was like, okay, corporate decided to go with you. It was for Lindt. I'm Lindt's first ever female master chocolatier in their commercial. Thank you.
Did you? You didn't bring chocolate.
I did not.
That's it. Podcast over.
They didn't give her any. They paid her well, but they didn't give her one piece of chocolate.
Isn't it funny how that happens?
But corporate wanted me back. I did one from down here, paid nicely, and they called my agent and was like, "Hey, will Aniela be willing to go to South Africa?" And I was like, "Yes." I skipped a wedding and jury duty, and I'd already canceled it out of I'd already canceled out of jury duty for the one, and then it was like the next chance you don't get to cancel. So I just didn't show up. I was like, if I have to go to jail for this, I will.
We probably should delete that.
No. I end up doing jury duty later. They sent me a notice and they were like, we think you might have forgotten.
This was previously recorded, so she's not here right now. So if you guys go
and honestly, and you can check, I did end up fulfilling my duty for jury duty, so all is good now.
All right.
But I was willing. I was like, I will go to jail
like you
for
were
this.
Already on the path. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Cheers to doing anything for the part, right?
Well, here's to Aniela.
Yes. To the dedication. There you go. Cheers. And you'll have to let me know. I think this is a good wine. I have another bottle we'll open it. Behind us on the TV as I'm trying to play, I'm keeping this queued up because it's the trailer. And you can find the movie everywhere, right?
Everywhere. But, the easiest, and the one that pays us the most is Tubi. Tubi TV.
Tubi TV.
So go to watch it on Tubi TV.
And what's the movie? Because we actually didn't talk about the fact that this was, because we've talked about your first movie, Hazmat.
Oh my gosh,
this
yes.
one is...
we should cover a bunch of... Very well said.
Why don't we start with the trailer?
So this is the last movie that you and I did, and Vic as well did during COVID.
Right.
So, because that's what I also want to get into, the COVID, what's changed in the industry, because you both have such great perspectives on how this industry is changed and kind of who knows where it's going. Yeah, you could bring it down. We could talk over this because everybody will put, so we will put links below to all of it, including the link to Tubi. And with that said, how's our audio? We still good? Everything was, all right, cool. So we were watching 73 Minutes, the official trailer, starring Aniela, directed by Lou Simon. Do you like that? That's what I know. I'm trying to find
the official trailer.
This is the official trailer. So tell us how. Wait, I want to keep something up there.
Are you gonna
give us?
You're gonna use the.
No,
picture?
I don't. Yeah, hang on. Let's go back to 73 minutes. And now, do we see it? What we figured it out? Awesome.
See, you have a nice profile.
See, there's a little bit of. Look at that.
We could go into a whole different story about that. The fact that is that profile has been rebuilt.
Yes, we will get into your life. Yes, if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because I think that's really important to know that this career you can sustain. I've had cancer twice. Random people watching, you're like, wait, what? It took a hard left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just
plot twist again.
well, yeah, all these plot. It's Lou wrote this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
All the plot twists.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. You mentioned it, and I since you brought it up, it's a challenge, right? I mean, just emotionally, and especially in an industry, give us that perspective because I think a lot of people are wrestling with it now, and you might be able to really help some people.
Well, side note is that Lou actually wrote my cancer into one of her scripts. I was supposed to film one of the movies with you, and then I had just been diagnosed with breast cancer at the time, and we were like, it's probably not healthy for me to be in the woods in the middle of winter while I'm in chemo. So I wasn't in All Girls Weekend. And instead, Lou, when she saw my mastectomy scars from breast cancer, she was like, do you mind if I write this into a script? These scars. Because Lou loves to...
I love it. I'm so glad we're all close enough that we can just say anything. So go for it. Lou's like, Lou's like lowering the seat.
Scars.
I just want to exploit.
Can I exploit your pain?
Okay, to be fair, she posted a picture of herself right after the mastectomy, where she was like the Bride of Frankenstein, with the wig, with the whatever, and then completely topless, and the scars on her breasts. And I was like, at first I was like, oh God, and then I was like, oh God. I can do so much with that.
Did you see that? Oh God! Oh wait! Oh, hold on. Tubi. Oh God! Okay, I'm gonna need more wine. Okay,
and that became a major plot point. So it is so. Interestingly, cancer can tie into what we do, using it for art. Absolutely, I end up the photo she's talking about. I made a photo series.
I did see it. I did. Yep.
Chronicling each stage of the mastectomy. And so that's what Lou ended up seeing. I did a one-woman show. And then what I'm referring to here is I ended up having skin cancer, and they cut off half my nose and then rebuilt my face using my forehead and everything. And so that is the actual side that they rebuilt. And the fact that we did not pick a different side, that we just went with what we had. And that my point to all of this is that this career, that it can seem limiting, or it can be like, well, I can't do this business because I have this thing going on, or because I have scars. Like, we're all human. Things happen. Mm-hmm. And this industry really will accept everybody in every version of themselves. They're these stories about people.
Yeah.
And it's not like, this is also why I live in Florida, is because I think it's really important to have the support and the friends, because the business does not give a shit about you,
right?
Especially if you're sick. It will just be like, bye. If you survive, we'll see you again.
Yeah. Lou's dying over here. It's very true. This business does not care at all.
The bye got me.
But if you survive, you might have a friend that writes a movie about your scars.
That's what a true friend does.
That is.
Right. True friend makes you confront it in front of the world.
To be fair,
on film.
to me, I had written a part for her specifically for All Girls Weekend. Like the character is actually named after her. That's how much. So it wasn't like, I mean, I've been exploiting her for years, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Like, this is nothing new.
I just didn't jump in on the scars. You know, I was like, well, I want to work with her again. So look at that.
Now, I think this leads to an interesting point that we were talking about before the podcast. So there is in 3 this moment where I unbutton my shirt and I open up, and there's Lou had a person who was making special effects makeup, and so they made the scars look a little more mangled. My scars are lovely. I love my scars, but they made them more mangled, and so I'm opening my shirt. Well, I was Googling myself 2 days ago. We're just not going to talk about why. And you sometimes just have to check to see if anything has changed.
Yeah,
Like, so I was Googling myself, and I was deep in the search, and all of a sudden it was, come to find out, that scene is on Mr. Skin. So
nice.
It's nice. So
I made porn. I didn't even
she
know.
made porn, and it was Aniela McGuiness topless scene. And it had a rating, and it was like natural breast. I'm like, you guys don't know those aren't natural. Those are reconstructed. And they had a whole description of my boobs. But the reason I share that is because this one scene in this movie, and Lou is very, very good about only having men be topless. This was actually the first female topless person she's had in a movie.
You do exploit men. It's okay.
I'm trying to even...
Yeah, you're just balancing, and I don't think anybody is... Yeah, it's all good.
I so appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're shirtless. It's not like...
That's not exploit. I know. I'm teasing.
Hardly.
Yeah.
They're shirtless. I'm pretty sure they're not on Mr. Skin.
Right,
I was
yes.
shirtless.
But that shows the double side anyway, yeah.
And I'm not even, my full shirt isn't even off. I just open it. But I say that, the reason I share this is because several years back, a friend had went to introduce me to a director who made horror films. And when I was talking to him, he was like, well, you would need to be fully naked in the scene because for European audiences, we reshoot it with you being fully nude, being torn in half, spread eagle. And I was like, no, thank you.
All right.
What you do stays on the internet forever. And if this little scene where it's showing mastectomy scars is on Mr. Skin and being rated for me being topless in a movie, then imagine what that other scene would be.
Oh, and it's the unsexiest scene because it's literally her showing how she was basically scarred up by this horrible person who raped her. So it wasn't like she was like dun dun. No, she was totally like
and I'm crying, and
she's crying.
And they say it's sexy. Sexy scene of Aniela McGuiness topless is how they describe it.
I'm really concerned with your gender. I mean, there's something really wrong with you guys.
Wait, I don't know if we got to qualify. There's so many gender. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that. See,
we're moving back.
But what's crazy?
Let's face it, it's hetero men that's the problem.
Is that the problem?
That's the problem.
That's what they keep saying.
So just as an actor, really being conscientious about the projects you pick, because as you're a young artist.
Oh my God.
And the guy kept telling me, the director was like, well, if this was LA, they'd be jumping at the role. Like Nudity. And it was like,
Go to
I'm
LA.
so glad
I think things
no.
are changing a lot.
Thankfully.
And it sounds like you
I
got
don't
somebody
think
from,
so, man.
You know?
It seems like every show I see now has like this needless amount of sex and
Well, look at
nudity.
Euphoria. I mean, I can't even watch
Jesus
it.
Christ, it's like porn.
I love David Lynch's old stuff. I love all that sort of stuff. But I think that there was a story. There's more of an art to it. Now it's just like, now it really is. It's like
gratuitous.
it's just
gratuitous.
It's just shoved. Even and the analytics and the youth is like enough of it. Like even they're like enough of it. So
Emma Stone, God bless her for getting
for Poor
that.
Things?
But Jesus Christ, that's just soft porn.
Yeah.
It was so unnecessary in so many ways.
I go back to something that I'll frame it this way. I believe, and this is probably from the actor studio on the other side when I was on both sides of, acting side, is you're supposed to art is supposed to make you feel, right? I love old Lynch stuff, which is probably 100 times worse than Euphoria, but it had a story. It had an element to it.
A reason.
And a reason.
A reason.
Yeah, it made you kind of feel, but this just is like you just said, it's
gratuitous.
just gratuitous. It's in your face here. It's almost like so many of the movies today, it's like I can't get through them because I'm like, oh, that's in there for this reason. Like it takes me out of the movie. It's not, it's almost a propaganda piece. It's whether it's for the views or the clicks or what's going on like yours.
I have been having problems with my shoulder, and I just posted a picture of my shoulder all bruised up. That got more reactions than when I post a picture about like, hey, this is my film, support my film. I get,
somebody will grab this podcast.
I get 50, but it was just a shoulder.
Oh, no, absolutely. But again, that's having longevity in a career. I have been doing this for 12, 13, 15 years. I've been doing improv comedy for 18 years. I know that. And even through having cancer, so I've been like, it's, ebbs and flows, but I've been in this industry this whole time. And the choices you make when you're younger on the internet, that does not go away.
No.
And so I think it's really, don't just be thrilled to be in anything because somebody picked you.
Yeah.
Talking about traumatic childhoods, my initial reason for wanting to be an actor was because I wanted attention. I wanted to be I love that Lou just laughed at me.
I'm dying. I know where. Okay, continue.
Yes. And thankfully, with lots of therapy and over the years, I have that my reason for wanting to be an actor has adjusted and changed. And I love delving into the art of it and to dive into true human emotions. And it's not about the attention anymore, but the choices I would have made when I was younger in my career for just the attention, because you're not understanding what your reason for wanting to be an actor can really haunt you later. Not necessarily get you in trouble, but haunt you. Maybe you might regret some of those decisions. And so there's I don't mind that I was topless in my photo series. I made that choice because I wanted to, because it was important to me.
And I got your role.
I was also probably very empowering on an aspect of being able to show this story. And that's, like you said, that's your choice.
But that's also the difference. There's a reason for that.
Reason.
Right.
That's what we were talking
Yes.
back about. Like, yes, you can have nudity when there's a reason for it, but like just random nudity just for sensationalism, that to me, like I've been rewatching Spartacus, which I just love.
Great film.
But not the film, the series, the Stars series, and it's such a well-made film. But honestly, like I guess it's like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, where like it's just needless nudity all the time, and you're like, who are these actors who are willing to take these little parts where you're literally like just like the slave girl handing, over something, and you're completely top. You can't even use that in your reel. So how much can they pay you that's worth it for you? Like become a stripper.
Somebody's raising their hand. Calling you. Okay, Nico, go. No, I'm
So I actually had an audition for a major TV show. It was Righteous Gemstones.
Oh,
I would have been thrilled. Oh my gosh, yes, beyond it. I turned down the audition because the role was it was like 2 lines, but it was me showing my vagina, like straight up. It was supposed to be the Sharon Stone scene.
Basic Instinct.
Basic Instinct. I was so close.
Yeah, Basic Instinct. So they wanted to recreate that Basic Instinct moment. And I was like, I can't even put this on my demo reel. Can you imagine with a new agent and being like, hi. Like, I can't use that. Even if, and so I immediately turned that down. I was like, there's no way I'm doing a 2-line role to then also show my vagina. I'm like, full frontal.
I'll be honest, when the whole SAG strike, whatever, I was really hoping that they would address that, because I didn't understand why SAG doesn't speak up to the fact that they're making all these actors porn stars. Because most of the really good entertainment, the really good shows have all that. As if they said, no, you absolutely cannot have that unless it's absolutely necessary for the story, then maybe, step up for your members. That's what the kind of stuff you should be trying to change, in my opinion.
Well, I just got a new agent in the Southeast, and the first thing she asked, she was like, she wants very clearly what nudity I'm not willing to do. And I was so grateful for that. Because it was just right out the gate, and there was no judgment about it. It was like, absolutely not. If you don't want to do this, top of the butt, nude back, Like it was just like very detailed.
But let's face it, people are willing to do a lot in order to make it, right? Because it's such a difficult industry. And so when you have Emma Stone winning Best Actor because she did that role, now all of a sudden it means, oh shit, well now I guess I have to go be completely topless and do these ridiculous, soft porn films because that's the way I'm going to be recognized. As opposed to recognizing good roles for women that don't involve that. That's the part that really bothers me. I
think we've covered this, but I want to add more to it because as a parent in the industry, my 2 kids, okay, I have a daughter and my son, and Luke has Emmy nominations, and they've been in the business. And the reason I bring that up is he has multiple agents, has lots of auditions, both of them, and they have not worked in a while. Now, why? They have turned down so many roles because they are not their brand. And I remember he was a few years ago, he's on PBS national show as, written up in the LA Times, and he gets a script. And I thought the movie was great. It's actually been out. It's a bunch of 3 young kids. And I won't mention the name of the movie, but because everybody will know, and they wanted him for it. And I said, and we looked and we're like, no, this is completely, because there's like adult sex toys in the movie and all this. And I'm like, we're clamping down more on one aspect of the industry. And yet on the other hand, where it's more of a free for all, it's like, it doesn't make sense at all to me. I don't know where it starts, where it stops. At the end of the day, is it that important to see somebody nude?
We all know what people look like having sex. I don't need to see it.
Exactly.
And it can be shot very artfully without actually showing those parts.
I mean, absolutely.
90% of the time, you don't even need to see the scene. You could just go to kiss, blah, 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 and, go into bed. And we know what's going to happen after that, especially being in the industry and making films myself. So it takes me out because I'm like, how did they shoot that? And as opposed to, and I'm feeling bad for the actors, 99% of the sex scenes are just gratuitous. They really do nothing to move the story forward. Because you could honestly be like, they kiss and then wake up the next morning next to each other and they had sex. You don't really need to see them.
So the question you wanted me to ask Lou was, you said you wanted to do a hot lovemaking scene in the movie where next one. So that's
just with Lou. Just with Lou.
Oh,
that's how I get my roles.
Sorry. Oh, so that's not when you're filming.
We did sleep together on 3.
On 3, we had to share. That was a camp. That was literally us.
On the film 3... An eye for an eye. I made her sleep with me.
We didn't explain that. We were all staying in a gigantic house, and there weren't enough rooms, and it was just we were the only 2 females, and it was like, all right, we are just dorming together. It was like the best summer camp experience ever. Which is what filmmaking is. Yes. It is like a gigantic adult summer camp.
Oh my God,
it's the greatest thing in the
indie
world.
Indie filmmaking, it is.
Yes.
It's the greatest thing in the world.
And that goes back to why you want to have those same people around you, because you know them. It's a different vibe, as you know, and that's where I think, and I call it the barbell effect, meaning it's getting squished in the middle. You see more people doing creative artistic movie things coming, and then the big Hollywood ones, and I think we've lost the middle. Does that make sense? Like, especially in the past few years, it's all gone to like $150 million budget or $5.
Well, and it's this shrinking of the middle class in general. It's this wealth being pushed onto both directions.
Yeah.
I think it just mirrors it. That's the thing, is art mirrors life. Art mirrors the human existence. That is what we do. What?
Here's the problem. It's no longer art. It's all business. So let's remake stuff, even though people are already saying they don't want any more remakes. Let's rehash the same stories over and over again, even though people are looking for something new. But the problem is that they make another Marvel movie or another remake, whatever, and people still go. And you can only vote with your dollars. If you still go, you're still encouraging that mindset that remakes are good.
Agreed.
Even though they suck, and then everybody goes and complains on social media, but you want to see it. That's it. That's all they need. They don't. It's kind of like marketing for any film. The film doesn't need to be good. You need to have good artwork and a good trailer. Once somebody already clicks on it to watch it, it doesn't really matter the quality of the film, and that's And so they already have your money, or your click or whatever, So if people want original content, they really need to start like going to see that content, the original stuff. Go to more indie stuff. Don't just go to the big, studio stuff, because then you're just encouraging that kind of rehashing of the same stories over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you search my name, Lou Simone, LOUSIMON, on Tubi, you can
Link
see my
below.
5 films.
Yes. There you go.
But that is so true. Is that it's not art anymore.
It's not
business.
art. It's always been business, but I think before there was less control over the content. Once as opposed to now, where literally, I just read something the other day that they're telling people that when they make something, when they write something, they have to make sure to rehash the message or the main plot points over and over again, because people are watching stuff while they're on their phones, so they might miss it the first time. So they have to keep saying, oh, by the way, do you remember half an hour ago when this plot twist happened? Blah, blah, blah. So like you have to like dumb it down, because people only have paying attention to what they're watching.
I sent you that.
Did you?
I'm the one who told
Oh
you.
yeah, you.
Oh, I need to see that.
Yeah, you ruined it for me, because now
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, it's horrible because I'm going the opposite direction.
all my scripts are gonna be like, did I mention this happened half an hour ago?
Wow, that's That's horrific.
But it's true.
Yeah, when you say it,
I have
it's
to
like-
admit, I did that last night while I was watching The Gentleman.
And I think we now are writing, and not you, but I'm saying we as the industry is just doing that. They're like, it's AI written. It's just, there's nothing with texture. And as an actor, or you want a role that you can be like, I want a role that I can, sink my teeth into. And it's all so fluff to me lately.
But I watched on YouTube yesterday, probably more than an hour's worth, of a guy mowing a lawn.
Back from the commercial we come. I guess we're just sharing now. Wow. Okay. You're good. She's Lou. I'm cutting her off. Okay. Wow. It's just. Is that a metaphor for anything? Is there? Oh, there it is.
No, there's a point to this. There's a point to this.
Oh, it's okay.
There's a point to this.
I'm glad we're in the trust circle. Let's all hold hands.
I think I need more wine for this.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
No, what I'm meaning is that, yes, you're saying that we need to reiterate plot over and over again because we have such short attention span. But at the same time,
Unless you're mowing lawn and then you're like captivating audiences.
but it's there is also this genre. Watching long form, YouTube has turned into this long form
Yes,
genre.
100%. And they're going. Yeah. One Jensen, who's on the show, is doing only long form now.
Yes, and I watched an hour of some guy, clearly is sped up, but of him mowing
People's
a
lawns?
lawn.
Just one lawn?
Yes, where
Did he
it's
have a shirt on?
He did.
I
he
do.
had a shirt on, and it was just a very
Lou does
overgrown
not like
lawn,
that.
and it was before and after,
what
and it
the
was the
hell?
ASMR.
Podcast,
But again, it shows that there is this interesting middle ground between going, I can't watch a plot at all, but I'm willing to watch a guy mow a lawn for an hour.
You know what? I would rather that go viral over some stupid crap,
Oh, there's so much garbage
or
out
some,
there, yeah.
Mean,
somebody doing
mean.
doing
I don't want
doing good
mean.
stuff, helping other people.
Yes. Oh, I love-
Yes,
yes,
let's go.
yes,
Let's take that viral.
Yes. And that's the thing is like I as well. I'm like, when I look at my ideal role in the industry, I was just watching the new Kristen Wiig Palm Royal, and it's just all mean. It's really mean stuff. And I'm like, and yet I watch a Ted Lasso or a
Right.
Schitt's Creek, and I'm like,
love Schitt's Creek.
exactly. And I'm like,
Love.
this idea of being a better person, I'm like, that's what I want to watch. I want to watch people try to be better, like be human. And
Not
then
that we're
be
getting better.
Right.
I try.
Well, I mean, we're terrible, but but
Yeah.
let everybody else be nice.
And that's the podcast.
And there we have it. So 73 minutes, an incredible movie you can watch on Tubi and other places, but Tubi's the best. Which actually, God, I want to ask you about Tubi and why and your distribution, because there's so many people who are filmmakers watching this as well. Okay.
Because I'm fascinated of like, why is Tubi the better place to watch it? Because you're making more per view?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they pay better.
Okay.
It's that simple.
That is simple.
Yeah.
So
And you know, nowadays it seems like every streaming thing, unless you want to pay, you know, $800 a month in different subscriptions. Now you're watching, you know, ads everywhere. So why not use one of the streaming sites that actually pays filmmakers as opposed to like Amazon that pays you a cent an hour.
You catch that, everybody? A penny.
1 penny an hour for every hour of streaming of your films.
So, and Tubi is free. I know this feels like a Tubi ad, but Tubi's
that's okay. Let's do an ad for Tubi.
Okay, but so Tubi is free, yet you are making more money on Tubi
off of ads because they pay. You know, they actually pay the people who are the content creators.
Wow, I'm actually I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I try to watch everything on Tubi if it's at all possible. Yeah.
Got it. I that was actually super educational.
There you go. If I've done nothing else today, I've done that.
And you would know because you've probably talked with all the different ones of the platforms.
Yeah. Well, and I see the reports.
Right.
Yeah. Every 3 months I get reports from my distributors and I see how much each thing pays. So.
Now, is there a value if I have a movie that is there a value to having it on just one service, or is it best to just put it out there? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I mean, just put it out. I mean, other than 73 minutes, all my other films have been picked up by distributors, so I don't really get a choice. 73 minutes, because of how unique the film is, you know, and I figured this is something where it's going to be hard to make money through a distributor because, you know, by the time they spend all the money on advertising and stuff like that, you know, it's hard to get the money back. And actually, I never even tried, to be honest. I'm just telling you guys now.
Yeah, I'm actually one of the producers on this movie, so I don't know.
Actually, so is he.
We are producers, and this is what
we're going to have a little sidebar here from what I just heard.
Oops. No, but it's fine, because when we made this movie,
middle of COVID, you call me up. I mean, we got to...
Let's get into it. Let's just get into it.
Yeah,
let's get into it.
Jump into it.
Okay, so it's 2020. May of 2020. We're all stuck indoors.
It's been a couple months now.
It's been a couple months.
Shucks.
So when the lockdown happened, I was in LA.
Yeah.
And a month in, I'm like, okay. Because first it was like, it's going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah. All of us.
Okay. So we're going to, I was like, I can't stay in LA because I was living in this very tiny little apartment in downtown LA where you couldn't even go outside. So basically I was stuck in this 300 square foot apartment in downtown LA. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to Atlanta. And so I was in Atlanta and I was watching a shit ton of television and movies and whatever. And I saw a movie that I love, it's Locke, with Tom Hardy. And I was riveted. I mean, it's literally a movie about a guy who gets in a car and drives however long the movie is, 80, 90 minutes. And he's having like very real problems, you know. He's really well done.
In
it's
a
just
car.
Him driving. You didn't even see anybody else.
Yeah, not a single other person.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm riveted. I'm like, what's gonna happen with this guy? I'm so invested in this. And I thought, imagine if he actually had a mystery to solve. And that's what started like, you know, in my brain. And I just was like, okay. The basic plot of the movie is that she gets in the car after having kind of like an afternoon tryst with her lover. And as she's driving home, she gets a call from this guy who says, look, I'm going to kill your daughter if you don't deliver this file that you have to this place that's 73 minutes away. And you have 73 minutes to get there. If you deviate at all, I will know and I will kill your daughter. And so it becomes this whole thing where she's like, well, the only way I can possibly get around this is if I can figure out who it is and why they want this file. And so she, you know, she ends up using all these other technology, to try to circumvent the whole process to figure out who it is and what they want. And in that way, it allowed us to just film Aniela, in a car, and then film the other actors away. So we ended up having actors in Texas, Miami, Atlanta, California. Like, we had people all over the place. And the way I approached everybody was to say, listen, we're like withering away at home right now. Let's do something fun, creative together. If something comes out of it, that's great. If it's terrible, whatever, if nothing, we just have fun with it. But I'm so proud of this film because it's thoroughly watchable.
It's more than watchable. It's more than watchable.
Every person who watches this is like, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, oh my God, how's she going to get out of this?
And it was an experiment the entire time.
And that's what I'd love to get into.
Yeah, that it was a joy of going into a project going, we don't know if this is even going to be viewable. Like, if somebody watches this, like, can this even be edited together? It was an entire experiment. And with that, coming with that attitude and the mentality into a film of going, if this goes nowhere, that's also okay. Mm-hmm. It's just for our mental health.
It's indie filmmaking. I mean, and I know I'm giving myself, like, it might sound like I'm propping myself in the back, but if you're doing something totally for just creative reasons and because of the love that you have for what you're doing, the passion you're having it, like, it totally was just people getting together and doing it for the love of what we're doing and not because we're thinking we're going to get something out of it or whatever.
It's funny that we wind up at this moment after all what we talked about, because that's exactly what we're here. It's a great script. It shows you can make a movie. You say watchable. I say a good movie. And okay, let's actually put it even in more perspective. You've done a lot of movies. If this were somebody's first movie, this is unbelievable. Like, great movie, right? And obviously you've done many, and I'm just being very much, honest. But the reason I say honest is, look at what did we shoot that in? 5 days. 5 days.
And not even full days.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
It was like 5-6 hours.
We broke all the rules as you're supposed to, and had a great script, an incredible actress, and we sat there, and it was literally you, me, Luke, and your husband. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it. It was Luke running audio.
It was 4 people. It was a 4-person crew.
With masks on.
Masks on in one car. You in the car that we were towed.
That's being towed, that my husband strapped in because he was like, I don't want my wife to die.
Yeah. Right.
Because we couldn't be, right at the time, we couldn't even be, they told you to be in right around, what do they call it? Clusters, I think?
Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Yeah.
Pods. You were supposed to only use like in your bubble people, and so like we couldn't, so we kept it all to our family members. So my sister drove us one time, if you remember that too, the day that your husband couldn't do it.
Yes.
So it was always like relatives, whatever. I was doing sound while directing, and
oh my God.
And I had
sandbags in the car, the tape, me trying to lav you up, being like, okay, I'm going to lav you up. Turn my head this way so I'm not breathing on you. I hope I'm not touching anything. Like, just the randomest shit. It
was wild.
Oh, it was crazy. It was indie filmmaking. Like, I have always paid everybody. I've always, even with limited funds, but still, like, I always paid everybody whatever. And we definitely had small crews, but this was insane. This was like nothing that I've ever done before or since. And then at the same time, you have people that were kind of like doing their lines from some other
You're
places
multiple
at the same
phones
time.
in the back seat going, and you're
and
like,
I've got an a nude earbud that's in that I've like taped inside, like to my ear, so it doesn't fall out.
It's crazy.
And so that's where I'm even hearing anybody with the lines, and I'm just sitting in the back of this car that's being,
to it.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in a car that's being towed. That's super illegal. As we're on the highway, but there's nobody there. There was in the highway.
That was the craziest part.
No, the best part is that when we started filming is when the Black Lives Matters riots happened.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So
right here at the heart of it all.
Yeah, so we like literally there was a thing like you had to go home by by sundown. and we're out on the
That was our
street.
first day.
Oh, remember that? The
Our
curfew.
first day, we
We
got
had
curfew
curfew.
lockdown.
You and I were going back and forth, like, when are we going to make this happen?
Yeah,
The
it was a
curfews.
lockdown.
That's
And,
right.
and we
I
ended
got
up like shooting illegal. We weren't supposed to even be out on the street, much less, everything else that we were doing. But we couldn't even done that legally. There was no way to get permits.
Oh,
like all the all the
closed.
government offices were closed.
Right.
Yeah. No, the entire thing, and it was middle of the nights. We did like 3-4 middle of the night
my
where it was
God.
like, all right, let's just go out. We strapped this car to it.
And it was summer, so it was like short nights.
Yeah.
Because at least if it was winter, you're like, okay, it goes night around 6:30. No, this was like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. And it was like, okay, now till like.
And thankfully,
comes
my
up.
husband has a truck, so he and we have a diesel truck that could tow
the car on the bed.
because he has race cars, so he like knows how to tow. Like it was just such a beautiful, random everything working out. I'm doing props.
I know.
Again, props. From
No,
years
you
before.
had to slate yourself.
I would.
That's right. Yeah. Like, okay, here's your number slate. All right, Luke, what do you got, Lou? You're good. We're good. All right, cameras.
I do
I'm
my own
remotely
makeup.
controlling all the cameras with Bluetooth.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I originally thought, I was like, this is such an easy shoot, right? Because it's just a person in a car. How hard can this be? And it actually ended up being
Super technical.
so hard.
Super, and the
edited.
lights that I had to go and get the remote lights to put on the dash so we could see her face against the back of the light. There's like all these little, and if you think about it, now that we're saying it's talent but crew. So I'll remove you from that and say you, me, and Lou. You, Luke, and I, however you want to say it. And I'm just like going, and I'm looking at him going, this is beyond watchable as we're filming. Cause you're behind the camera enough, and I'm going, Lou, this is really good. And your
I'm
performance, and no, it's really good. And well, I mean, I don't need to say it. Deadline wrote about it. You've gotten some. So going back to the part where we're like we said with Hollywood and all the indie here's proof at the height of COVID, a group of people in the industry got together and made a feature film. I was filming something. I was gone. I don't know what I was doing, but I got your message. And you're like, hey, the coloring. I'm like, okay, Lou, here, let me try. I was trying to help. I'm like going, oh my God, I felt so bad. But then you're like, no, I got it. I'm like, awesome. And then, and then you're like, come to the screening at your house. And I was like,
Yeah, it's still separated. Like
yes. Oh, that's right. We're all
COVID
We're outside.
still was happening.
Yeah.
And I set up a movie screen
Yeah,
in
in the
my
backyard.
backyard, and we all sat separate.
awesome.
And we watched this outside to see it
love
for the first time.
Yeah. But
You did admit, yeah.
yeah, like editing really brought it. Like when I started editing, I was like, oh my God, what the hell did we just do? Because the problem is that in theory it's very simple. It's just a person, but the problem is that literally there's nowhere to cut.
Right.
You're on a person the entire time, and yet in reality we did cut. And so
That's
you
why I
have,
had so many cameras. I think we were talking, and I was like, when you're like, we're going to put one person, because I remember watching that, and I'm like, oh, this isn't like Birdman where it's one long, we call it long takes, right? Where there's still many cuts in there. They seam them.
well, here's the problem that I found when I was editing is that literally there's no cut in the story. So it's supposed to be like 1 second after the next, but yet her hair's different.
I'm holding them.
Her hands are in
Studio
different
Yes.
places, and whatever. And you're like, how the hell did I cut this to
And-
make it happen? Because even when she wasn't, because if anybody watches it, like there's people calling into her, so there's certain points where you see somebody else on camera because she's talking to her lover, she's talking to her mother,
Right.
whatever. So you'll see a little bit of video of those people, but even then, because of the way technology works, there's always a little box of with her reaction on it. So literally, she's never not. She's on the screen
all the time.
82 minutes of the movie. Yes, it's 73 minutes, but it's 82 minutes of her. So that meant like there wasn't even a point you were like, okay, she's not on. We can use this
Right,
to
we
cut
can
away
cut
from
away to
her.
it. No.
She's on the screen still. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to edit. It was like, how do I make this cut with the scene before where her hair was slightly different or whatever? And it was just like, there was times where you could see the
ear.
and the tape.
We're doing the best we can.
Right.
So it was like, okay, I can't use that. Yeah, I can't use that take. Oh, blah blah blah. So like it was
The hardest movie, you'd
the
say?
hardest editing I ever had to do.
And on top of it, because the phone, I'm props, so I just cut out a piece of green
I remember that.
paper and stuck it to the phone because I was like, all right, well, there we go. But
Hey, you got it.
good as we get. But you also have like my lover who's meeting my mother and my child. They're supposed to all be in the same scene that's cutting back and forth. And you sent them a light because there's supposed to be cops there. So you sent them a police style light. They all film that separately in different places around the U.S.
And yet, when you watch the movie, it looks like they're handing over the phone.
The phone to each other.
That worked out really well.
That worked out.
That worked out great.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, let's keep it.
That was totally editing.
Yeah, that was
to create that effect. Yeah.
Right.
And then you also had.
That's how you learn special effects.
Yeah, very
when you're
quickly,
editing
yeah.
very quickly.
Well, and then you also had all of us use a special app for the audio. And so all of those actors who are on their own.
But how
cameras,
good is that audio, even though it was recorded on phones?
Yeah.
Like we didn't even other than your audio.
She had professional
We
audio,
had professional,
but that's a different story.
mics
yeah.
and stuff. But everybody else was just literally using their phone.
Sometimes in closets. They're around the U.S. using their own phones, and we're coaching them through that separately. We had a couple rehearsals on Skype.
Yeah, but that says so much about the technology, right? Like if you really want to make a movie now, all you need is a phone. Really?
Yeah. Well, that's been proven.
Because, so much of the audio in this film was just captured on a phone.
And their video were captured. They were filming themselves doing this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
As long as you have two sources. You do need something for video and then something else for recording the audio, and then we'll do it afterwards in post. But I did all of Chris's scenes by ourselves, just him and I.
No, was it?
It was just
Lou?
a little creepy.
When he was in a towel.
Was
That
it?
was just you.
That was me. It was the hardest filmmaking I've ever had to do.
So hard.
There's a theme going through this podcast.
We just circled all the way back
We just
again.
came all the way back to where we started, Lou.
Speaking of nudity, this is actually kind of a funny story because I'm not paying anybody. This is the only time I didn't pay anybody.
Yeah, Lou's always been very good.
But I said I was like, I wasn't gonna be like, oh, can you be topless for this, right? Or shirtless for this. Different. But so I said, okay, maybe you're coming out of the shower in the story, so maybe you're like, like buttoning up your shirt, and he's like, this is how different the genders are. That he's like, oh no, if I'm coming out of the shower, I would be shirtless, and like wrapped with a towel, and I was like, I mean, if you want to do that, I'm not telling you.
I could film you coming out.
Whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to do that. And he was like, no, I would be. I was like, oh okay.
I know.
We need to.
That goes back to the gender. We're like, yeah, whatever. Here.
Then comes the day of filming, and it's just him and me in this hotel room. And I was like, if the situation was reversed, it would be the worst.
Oh, you would be
a male director with a female director in this room by
I started being
themselves.
like, get out of the shower and be topless. Be so different. And that was your hotel room as well.
It was my
you were
hotel
happening
room.
to stay.
Come to my hotel room. We're gonna film this scene.
Yes.
I could hear Lou now.
It'd be terrible.
It's like literally
I
it's the
texted
beginning
him.
of every headline.
We had already set up a time, and I texted him the address, and then I was like, by the way, that's my hotel room, but like, don't.
But don't look into it.
And then I was like, this
There'll be
is
cocktails.
so bizarre. If the situation was reversed, it would be so creepy. And then he's like, I mean, I could beat you up so quickly. Like, seriously. Like,
He's like, you cannot overpower me.
there's no way you could possibly
And you're like,
do anything for
"Please,
me.
Lou's like, but the roofie isn't.
And that is the end
doesn't
of
work
the
the same way.
podcast.
Damn,
The
never
Doesn't work the same
podcast
thing,
is
but-
over.
We
Thank
did
you very
it. You're
much.
welcome.
We did it.
So the point is, but even you had a role in it. You had a role in the movie. You
That's
weren't
what they told me.
supposed to.
I know, and you're like, we need a cop. I'm like, well, that's everybody.
Todd
tells me.
Bruno didn't show up, so we ended up having to need you for.
So I
that.
fill in as the cop, and
Yeah.
that's when I said,
And it's your feet walking. It's
I
you.
don't
It's
know
you
how to
walking.
score for.
And then I had to go to Tennessee. Oh, that's the other state.
And you wanted to film the whole thing in Atlanta, like it looked like Atlanta.
At one point, yeah. And then somebody's like, you can see a bunch of palm trees. You can't get away
You're
with
not
this
gonna-
as being Atlanta. But I had to go to Tennessee to film Mike's scenes. So yeah, because at the time I was living in Atlanta, I had to come here to film twice, to film Chris's stuff and then your stuff, and then I had to go to Tennessee to film Mike's scenes. It was such a fun experience, really. It was an adventure.
And I'm so grateful for it. But it's definitely like, again, using art to cope with hard times.
Absolutely.
That is what art is for.
It definitely gave me a purpose in 2020 because between writing and filming it and then editing it, that's it. That's how my 2020 happened.
God.
It gave me a reason to get up in the morning, and I was at one point, I don't remember when you had to go film the eye thing.
Here.
Oh my God, here. That's right.
Here.
I'm like, when you said, I forgot all about it until you just said that.
I hadn't
yes.
slept in I don't know how many days because I had been editing so much. I don't know if you remember, like my eyes were tearing because I had spent so many hours in front of a computer. It gave me a purpose. It gave me a reason to get up in the morning and do this and be like, fuck, this is actually good. Like this is a fun story. Like how many movies do we not watch be made for hundreds of millions of dollars and you cannot digest them because the stories are the people are unlikable and so unrelatable, whatever. And this is actually good. This is fun. And how to put it together, it was such a challenge. And if nothing else, I can say that 73 minutes kept me sane during 2020. And it's going to be, now in May, it will be 4 years since we shot that.
That is insane.
My can't wrap
Oh
my
my
head around
gosh.
it. When you say that, I'm just like, where?
I don't even know.
Because it does not feel like 4 years.
It feels like 2?
Maybe? Yeah.
2?
No, that's why I'm like going, oh my gosh.
But it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
No, I'm like, it's like, it was, I don't want to go back to the COVID world, but I really enjoyed that time together.
And on top of it, so many movies that were made during COVID were about COVID. And and because the isolation that had to be done to make a movie, they all used COVID as their reason they were isolated.
Right.
And I was so grateful for Lou's film because we isolated to make the movie, but it was never about COVID.
Right.
So it doesn't
Had nothing
matter.
to do.
And nothing to do with COVID. She made a movie that was isolated, not about COVID. And
Well, I figured at a certain point we would never want to revisit that. Like
That
nobody
moment.
wants to be reminded of that. That was hell.
trauma. It was trauma.
Not too long ago, I saw a big movie with big stars that still had that as a back. I'm like, I don't want to go back to that time. I want to forget that ever happened.
It's like me with cancer. I see these shows and I'm just going to bring it back to me and having cancer.
I got her a lot of likes.
Okay. Yeah.
So much attention.
Made her go viral.
But
I need to drink more.
but I will say that I, as a cancer survivor, I don't want to watch things with cancer. I really don't. I'm like, I went through it. I don't need to watch somebody else have cancer.
Is she going to pull out her breast?
Let me just going to unbutton.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody go watch
you.
73 minutes. It's a great movie. It shows you what can be done with just a few people.
Can I just shout out to Michael Damon who did the score on that because he really it just drives the music.
Yeah.
The music drives that movie so much. Like it really I obviously being part of the whole editing process. I was like I don't know. And then once he put the music on and he added that dun 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 because it's definitely a ticking clock kind of movie. So it needed that dun 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 dun. Put it over the top like.
I'm trying to remember the term. My brain, it's what happens after my first glass of wine. No. But there's
Your first?
There's yeah, I know you like how I said that. It's a always raising tempo. I give up. Somebody will put it below, but whatever. It's and when you put a bed to something like that with the suspense and you get good audio, I'm not going to say the picture. I mean, we did the best we could, but you put all the elements and then you get great acting, a great story. that's what people want to watch,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that's, I think, coming full circle is everybody's trying to do the next Titanic or whatever it is. And it's just like,
And that's such a, I mean, it's literally a person in a car.
right.
But if you, once again, I sound like I'm patting myself in the back, but like if you make a good story, you don't need all that.
Exactly.
You don't
That's
need
where I
all
was,
that. You
that's
don't
where I was-
need you don't need all that action, blah blah
yeah.
blah blah. You just need good, relatable characters, and you need a story that grips people. You know, like that.
Yeah.
Where you care about whether people live or die, or or what happens to these people, and that's what Locke taught me. There's this guy just driving, having normal everyday people problems, and I'm still like riveted, like what's gonna happen to this poor guy. We need to get back to that. We need
Yes.
to get back to good storytelling, that it isn't about
Nudity. It isn't about the explosions. It isn't about all the distractions.
Yeah.
Be a good storyteller.
It's funny you say that. One of my favorite things, kind of in that aspect, when you said explosions and all that, a lot of people don't know that what has built this Marvel universe and all that. The first Iron Man, they joke, and I'm not saying anything that you can't find online by typing it into YouTube. Is the first Iron Man was, I'm stealing somebody else's lines, but dare I say, worse than a student film. Okay, that was the script, and when John and Favreau got it with Iron Man, you take those two talent, and they literally were like, it's just going to be an explosion movie, like you said, and they said no. Downey was like no, and they leaned in and built that as an acting role, and that has built the entire. So if you go back, you'll see that they were like, this is just not even, like, they knew it was unwatchable, and the two of them got together and said, let's make this a movie, as opposed to just a bunch of special effects. And those movies are fun, right? You what do we call them? Bayhem, right? Michael Bay, and
like John Wick movies. It's just
exactly.
one
Well, the
action
last one I
film
gotta
after
say,
the other.
going back to the thing, it's like, if sometimes I think people forget that it's like there's the script, and then we're the director, and then you have that actor who's portraying it. But if you get everybody aligned together, it does become magic. You remember these.
I don't care how good your talent is. If your script is shit, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's what we talk about actors. You want a meaty role. You want something with and
You got everybody on there though.
Well, you can't polish a turd.
Yeah.
It just smears.
Yeah.
You can't make a good film out of a bad script, but you can make a bad film out of a good script. Mm-hmm. And that's very true. I mean, number one, script, story, and writers, not just because I'm one of them, are the unsung heroes of filmmaking.
Absolutely.
But the problem is, now decisions about story are being made by studio heads and stuff like that. What they
Multiple
think,
screens.
AI.
Multiple screens.
they think is going to sell, as opposed to what's really a good story. There will be nuggets of a good story, and just told in such a bad way that you can't. It's unwatchable because
They
you
don't
don't care.
characters. They don't build characters. Like, going back to, like I said, if you're good with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But
The key is, if you're going for the money, if it's commercial, fine. I love making my money. Back to the beginning. I love making my money from commercials. But if it comes to an actual film project, it needs to be something that's interesting and human.
But I could honestly say, I mean, I am a businesswoman through and through. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why you talk about my ability to get distribution and whatever. I'm not trying to make art. I'm not. I'm trying to make entertainment, because I know that that's what's going to get me distribution. That still doesn't mean that I have to put out stories that I'm not proud of. I still don't want to build characters. I still don't want to, 73 minutes. I struggled so much over the fact that this is a woman having an affair with
She's
married
not
men.
likable. She's not likable.
She's not likable at all in the
but
beginning.
she's real.
But I'm so
But she's
likable.
real.
But she's real.
And I'm likable.
She doesn't have. You are likable. But
she's a woman having an affair with a married man. And I was like, what kind of message am I sending out with this? But it made her a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you can watch it and be like, I might not understand why a person would do this, but I still am rooting for her. And the whole character arc of having her redeem herself through her actions, through just 80 minutes of a movie. And you're telling me you have millions of dollars and you can't make a character that I actually care what happens to them? You know, like, I just don't understand that. Like, let's go back to storytelling. That's what people want to see.
You heard it here from Lou.
And I mean, this is a good time to announce that we're going to be making a movie together.
You heard it here. And Lou's about to tell everybody what's happening. Come on, Lou.
You know we're making a movie together.
There's another one?
We're going to Philippines.
We're going to the Philippines to make a film.
We are. We talked about it. And so I think it's now. Well, we just put it live.
We're putting it out into the world.
Yeah, no, we have a really good idea, and now I'm kind of
do I have a part in it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. Okay. Thanks.
You know, if you're making an indie project where you have a finite amount of time, first of all, you want to work with people you like because you're going to be stuck with them for a long time. And second of all, you want to work with people that you know are going to do good work. Because I've done auditions with people and they were great, and then they got on set and they were awful.
Oh my God, there's so many horror stories.
So I know that Aniela is an amazing actress and she's going to deliver. I mean, she totally carries 73 minutes.
Oh yeah, you should be arrested. You stole the movie, right? I mean, that's what you did. It's your
minutes,
it's your movie.
She's on screen 80 minutes and she carries the entire
with
film.
levels, with everything, and
everything from like this poor character in 80 minutes goes.
No, you went through it, girl.
Goes through all kinds of things. It's not even just the fact that her daughter's life is being threatened. She has the wife of the lover calling her. She has the mother issues, and you carry that. Whatever. You want to trust somebody that can do that. You know, especially under such stress situations. So yeah. I do tend to work with people because I know that they're going to deliver every single time.
Okay, I'm going to start these real quick. We'll kind of do a quasi speed round. What has been your favorite project you've done with Lou?
With Lou, Hazmat, the original.
And why?
It was this not knowing that you could even do it. And Lou and I had just met. It was a recommendation from somebody else that was like, hey, you should audition for this woman's project. And
he's like, what woman?
Well, lady. And we made something that I think is truly incredible. I love Hazmat. It's still it's the first film I've ever made with Lou, and it's still my favorite.
It's still the best. There's so many people who love Hazmat. It's not even funny. That's like everybody's favorite film.
It's my favorite. And then your question was, what is my favorite thing about Lou or my favorite filming with Lou?
Let's do both.
My favorite thing about Lou is that Lou is somebody who gets things done. And I think for me, I see you squint your face, but I don't feel like I get things done as much. I'm a bit of a dreamer. I can be a little lazy, and I see someone like Lou, and she inspires me to just show up and put the time in. And Lou asked me to do a project, and doesn't matter where I am. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm going to say yes because I just love spending the time with her.
And as an actor, as an artist, and that's the difference. You need that yin and yang where Lou makes things happen. She makes it happen. And that's like when you called me and you're like, hey, we're going to do this. It's COVID and this and that. And it's time for me to pay a compliment back. I was like, okay, Lou's made a lot of films. And I mean that because but not just made, like you said, not just made it, but you've seen it all the way through. And so many people just fall off somewhere along the way. And I've seen it. And so when you were like, hey, I was so excited to do something with you and film this together, and I loved every minute of it because a lot of the time yeah, I understand the DP side. Like we all started off in the beginning. You need to know all the aspects of the business. So when I was like, okay, I'm going to be working with Lou, and I'm DPing the movie. How are we going to pull this together? And I had a blast. And I was like, and I was watching, and from one director to another, a lot of respect for you, Lou. A lot of respect. And I think a lot of people could learn from you that you've made so many movies. No, it's true. Out in LA, female director, your backstory, which we didn't even cover, is impressive, very impressive. And you're out there doing it. So as much as you say you're a businesswoman,
Totally.
you also, there's an artist in you and there's a storyteller in you, 100%. So
You
it's
guys are
so
the
much of a
best.
team effort. And
What's my question?
your question now is, what do you tell everybody who's coming up in today's world? I know I'm not going to give you an easy one. Come on, I know you. In today's world, they want to make a movie.
Good.
They want to make a movie. They look at somebody like you who's had many, and like we've said, obviously they know to take it to Tubi. No, but they want to make a movie.
Tubi makes
What's
movies.
the hardest? Go back and say, as a writer, a novelist going to screenplay, what have been your challenges over those few phases that now has made you the incredible female director that you are? Mm-hmm. No, I wasn't going to eat. I'm not going to throw you a softball. We're friends. I know. That's now we get to drink our wine because
The problem is that right now we're kind of in no man's land, to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. It's really, really hard out there right now, even from the success of Hazmat. And I actually think my films have gotten better, with more experience that I've had. But the problem is that it's been like films get better, but like the revenues have gone down.
isn't it weird? Yeah.
Because first there's a glut of too many indie films being made. So distributors don't really need to pay as much for stuff because hey, there's like 1,000 people behind you, who will take this offer if you don't want to. But on top of that, it's just revenues are down. And I don't even mean at our level. I mean even in the studio level, which is the reason a lot of what happened last year with the strikes happened, is that it was almost like SAG and the writers were asking for more money at a time when the studios were making less money. Like that was a great conversation to have 3 years before,
Right.
Like if it had happened during 2020, like at that time streaming was an all-time high. So I mean, I can tell you just from how much I made during 2020 from my films, we were making like bank. I was like, yay. Like seriously, like we were like every 3 months we would get a paycheck and I was like, oh my God, that many people are watching my shitty ass, indie film. Like that's how much people were staying home. And then it's gone down and it's gone down dramatically because now people have lives again. And also you have 8,000 different places where people can watch films. So that means that you have so much competition and limited amount of time, the revenues are way down. So it was almost like the worst time to have that conversation about, whether, how much money studios and streamers needed to pay to the talent. So it's kind of like a no man's land right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm sure within a year or two, a lot of the streamers are going to go out of business because they're not making money. All I can say is very much like 73 minutes. If you're really passionate about a story and you really want to make it, just make it for yourself. Don't make it because you think it's going to make money. You don't think because it's going to make you famous. Just do it for the pure love of being creative and telling a story. And if it does something great, and if not, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. You did it for yourself. We did it for the experience of surviving 2020. We did it for the love of storytelling. And if nobody ever sees it, nobody can take that away from us. And I can tell you, I will not regret a minute of it. And I have not made a living off of filmmaking at all. I have another job that I live very well off. I will never regret a minute of it because the friends I have made, the experiences I've had are the best I've ever had. And that in and of itself makes up for anything else. So just do it for the love of the passion of doing it. But it's very hard to advise people on, on where the industry is going. Nobody knows. And I'm not just talking at my level. I'm talking about like
Everybody.
Yeah, the high level, which is why I mean the industry has slowed down majorly. It's like production is down like 25%. A lot of people are out of work even after the strike's finished because nobody knows where it's going.
Very true.
Get into reality TV shows. They're thriving right now. It's true.
Wow. Well, I think we're good. I think
Wow.
I think hour and 20. So I think we can wrap. Because I do have more questions, but that'll be part
Forever.
2.
Oh, we can always.
And we also have
come
another
back.
movie. We have to go make the other movie
come
so
back.
we can go back and do more podcasts.
If you all like this, comment and subscribe and let us know if you want us to come back for this. Thank you.
Yes.
Please comment and subscribe.
By the way, again, thank you so much.
Cheers.
You guys. All right. It's okay.
Sorry.
You know what?
Chaos is made.
Chaos
Chaos made.
Chaos has been made. Podcast. Oh my gosh. What's that? I think now she's gonna start the ASMR channel. You're
Welcome.
welcome. I'm scared.